Gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for May 25th, 2023 for the next hour or so. Let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, how about that PlayStation Showcase, huh? But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you doing?
Grubb, I have breaking news. I have Giant Bomb's official impressions on the Little Mermaid movie of 2020.
Oh, they're coming in hot.
Wait, I'll make that easier.
There it is.
It is perfectly fine. I liked it better than the live action Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Haley Bailey is a fantastic singer. She was always going to perform very well.
She was always going to crush it, yeah.
I give it a 0 out of 5, though. Spoilers here, folks. Because there's no octopus playing the drums.
What the hell? They're cowards, is what it is. That's what it's always been.
Also, Flounder freaks me out.
Oh, no. In a good way?
No. It's just like, you're just a fish. But otherwise, it's fine.
He is just a fish. That's true. That's, I guess, just a talk. These live action movies, they are bizarre, but they make a lot of money. That Lion King movie has made a lot of money. We were looking at Dan Reichert's letterbox the other day, and he gave the Lion King, the live action one, like 4 out of 5. Maybe it was 3 out of 5. But it was way higher than a lot of other animated movies, and I think it explains a lot about him. It definitely does.
We should do some type of draft where it is just us assuming each other's ratings on a movie.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I would like that a lot. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
I bet I'm going to come out of that feeling very insulted, which is what I want.
I feel like I have like a gauge of your tastes and Dan's tastes, not so much Bacalar's.
No, yes, Bacalar is a black box. Who knows what's going on inside there? I would very much, but I would like to guess and be very wrong and be very surprised. Oh, there he is. He's in chat. Bacalar, I have no idea what, okay, his favorite movie is Back to the Future, right? Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, that's why Marty's named Marty, right?
I think so. Okay, so we have a good starting point. All right.
So he's a Zemeckis guy. All right.
Yeah, he's a big Zemeckis guy. His second favorite movie is Polar Express. He just loves those creepy little kids.
That's why he went on the train.
Oh, it's named after Martin Brodeur. That's actually why he's named that, which is a goalie for the Devils.
I don't buy it. I
don't buy it either. All right, let's get into this mess. But before we do, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube, which also you're live now. Hello, YouTube. We have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with everything announced at the PlayStation Showcase 2023. We're going to go over this a little bit, help people catch up. There were a lot of things announced. We're not going to spend a lot of time on every single one of these, but I kind of do want to remember some of these things. So we'll get going. I guess let's just start off though. Jan, today, the day after, how are you feeling about that showcase? After I feel like I was personally building it up for myself, like it was going to be a big deal, and I'm not sure how I feel about it now. How are you feeling though?
I think I knew to expect that this was supposed to be their E3 equivalent type of show. But then I was still trying to temper my expectations because of, we're still working our way through the pandemic and everything, and I still expected 1 or 2 bigger things. That being said, I am whelmed.
Yeah, I think I want to give them the benefit of the doubt too, where it's like first of all, it's weird to be in the business of ranking a series of commercials that I'm watching. That's not why I came to do any of this. And yet it does seem to be a big part of video game fandom right now, for years now. And I'm definitely a part of that, where it's like, I want to get excited for these things. I want to be excited for what's next. Video games is very much about being into what is coming down the pike. Like it's always been a futuristic medium, and what's cool now, but what's going to be cool tomorrow, that might be even cooler. And it's so we work ourselves up into these things, and these events are supposed to be the lightning rod for, okay, tell me what's coming down the pike so that I can actually get excited about those things. Still though, it is a series of commercials, and if I don't like a series of commercials all that much, what's the big deal? I'm just going to go play a video game, which is actually what I'm doing here. That said, the showcase, it was weird. It was weird. It didn't feel like it was a traditional PlayStation E3 showcase. I mean, I think it was presented like one. I think they thought it was one, but we had a lot of stuff missing, and the things that were there were CG trailers for a lot of things that are going to be live service games. And I bet in like 2 years, one of the games in there, it would be impossible to pick, is going to be like the biggest thing in the world. Like, that's totally possible, right? Fair Games could be having, 1 million concurrents on PC someday. I have no idea. But today, looking at this stuff, it was like a lot of CG trailers, and I just I don't know. It didn't move me all that much. Still though, I bet I'm gonna like a lot of these games. So I kind of want to be like, I'm in the BC range. Let's kind of go just in chronological order as they announced it. I have this from Kotaku. Fair Games, which is the new one from Haven Studios. That's Jade Raymond's studio. This one looked, I think it looks pretty cool. It is a heist-based sort of payday kind of game, maybe some GTA Online vibes. We kept saying, oh, it looked a lot like Watch Dogs. It has those like Watch Dogs 2 sort of, there's a guy with an LCD screen for a face and stuff like that. I don't know. Yes. How did this one move you at all?
I can't say that it did. I'm kind of mixed on the whole payday like style shooter and like the heist style thing, mostly because it's fun when I'm playing with you guys. But it's a very tough sell to convince my own friend group, and that's a personal thing. I understand, but also just it's very difficult to try and line up 3 other folks or 2 other folks to properly enjoy this game in the way that it's being designed to. Just because whenever you do single player, it's just not the same.
This is one of the studios that Sony has put a lot of money into. I think they acquired Haven like outright, so they believe in this. But they also said yesterday or the day before yesterday, excuse me, that 60% of their budget going forward, their game development budget, is going to go to live service games like this one.
Oh boy.
I mean, that is like a harrowing number to hear, where it's like, oh no, that's is that too much? They also said that that's going to be growing. It's not going to be taken away from other games. It's going to be growing, but that's still like opportunity costs, and you could be growing in toward the other direction, but no, you're growing in that direction. So still 60% is a lot. I don't know. These games have such a tough time of being the game that everyone's going to play beyond the first 2-week period, where everyone does get excited about them. A lot of these games come and go very quickly, and if this one just feels like one of those to me, where it just feels very cheap, very not cheaply made, but it just feels like a cheap experience, where it's like, yeah, it's another one of those, and I'll have fun playing it for 2 weekends with guys at my job. Let's go, let's get Jan and Dan together. That's gonna be fun. I'm glad we have a way to do that. Beyond that, like you said, getting friends together, very tough sell. What was that?
Is Kim Basinger in this game,
Right. It doesn't even have the Kim Basinger effect. So really, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Grubb, that this has to continue to tread water after those initial 2 weeks that it releases. And I know that they're going for like this glitchy art style, but I feel like that glitchy art style is the same thing that a lot of other devs are going for right now to try and be different. Like, it immediately reminded me of that Ubisoft battle royale game that closed with it.
Yeah. Now I just read Helldivers, so that's all that's coming to mind. When Hellscapers, Escapers, Netscapers, Hyperscape.
Hyperscape. There we go. Yes.
Not Netscapers. That's something else. All right. Helldivers is the next one up. This one I think actually looks pretty cool. This is a building on Helldivers 1, which had that. What's that?
I didn't know that Helldivers had such a fervent fan base.
Did you find out? I was trying to tell you guys.
Yeah. Like, the Helldivers crew has been primed and ready to dive back in.
Yes, they are. This is a trailer that started off with CG. It looked like Starship Troopers, excuse me.
Yeah.
But then they did show some what looks like gameplay. And
like behind the back shooting versus
exactly
isometric.
And that looks cool. I think that's a great way to sort of bump up the production values of Helldivers 2. I'm a big fan of a game coming out now and having a relatively modest budget, doing well, and then the follow-up to that, like taking it to the next level. There's a lot of indie games that start off as like, oh, we're gonna have a 2D side-scrolling game, and then the sequel is gonna be like a 3D open world exploration game or something like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Like Risk of Rain.
Risk of Rain is exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think this seems.
I could get into this.
Me too. I never really played Helldivers. I'm gonna play this just because I don't want to miss out on it. I want to get down with that crew. They're all tell me how much fun it is. So
they look like they're cool with each other. That was like a fist bump there, a chest bump.
Yeah, I love to see bros just diving into hell. Gets me excited. All right, Immortals of Avium, one we've seen a bunch of times. Well, I guess we've seen it recently, maybe not a bunch of times before, but I don't know. I thought this would I don't get why this one doesn't do anything for me. This is an EA original. It is a first-person sort of magic spellcasting game. And when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, this has stuff that I'll probably enjoy it when I play it. But looking at it in a trailer, I don't get why it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the look of it is occasionally cool. It's also not grabbing me.
Yeah.
I don't not that I don't understand the setting, but it's just like nothing about this trailer pulls me in at all. I mean, it's fun colors.
Yep.
And fun hands, I guess.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I like the idea of doing more in first-person shooters than just firing a gun. So I'm like, I want to give it kudos for that. But I don't. Again, I will have to play it myself and see for myself. We'll have to actually get hands on, which is like kind of how I feel about a lot of stuff in here. One that it's like was very easy to buy into, Ghost Runner 2. I know what Ghost Runner's putting down. I'll pick it up.
Yeah, Ghost Runner 1 was really great. I kind of got dizzy from it because of all the motion blur and the head bobbing, and that's what made me scared to check out Neon White. But in a world where Neon White kind of post Neon White, where Neon White did really well, I could see Ghost Runners 2 trying to take that momentum as well, and it's trying to get the speedrunning community, or at least us freaks, into it.
Yes, this is what I mean. I think a lot of times what I mean when I want more with first-person shooter perspective. This is a game that isn't really about shooting. It is about traversing, the obstacles, and then having those quick combat sequences with your sword and your shuriken, and all that stuff just looks fantastic. I didn't play through Ghost Runner 1. I played some of it and really enjoyed what I played of it. But this game's coming out 2023. All right, Phantom Blade Zero, though, this one actually was a standout. This was easy to get onto. Looks like a Sekiro, and I like Sekiro a lot. It's that simple for me, Jan. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we saw the player character moving around and figured out that's like, okay, this could be a Sekiro-like or a Souls-like. Sign me up. Let's do it. S game.
Yes.
Game.
It's the game.
Yeah.
I again, I can't remember. I think did I look it up? This is the one that had worked on mobile games before.
Mobile games before.
There's nothing nothing's going to stop them from being able to make a good one of these, except for it's probably pretty hard to match Sekiro. But I think no one's expecting From level games from that genre. It's like everyone sort of understands From's on the top level, and everything else is not going to be quite there. But if you get close, that's really cool. We'd love to have more of those. And I think everything they've shown from this so far has been pretty exciting. Where it's got those medieval Asian vibes, and there was just like one of those paper dragons that actually is shooting fire and stuff and looks like a boss. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen other studios and their takes on Sekiro likes or Souls likes, and them actually being surprisingly well. Wolong was a Wolong Fallen Dynasty.
Yeah.
Surprisingly really fun. A solid, competent game. So I could expect Phantom Blade Zero to be the same. And hey, let's slash some dudes.
Minto in chat says if they aim for Souls and hit a Neo instead, that's still commendable. And I think that's exactly how everyone feels about this genre overall. It's it's very easy to go in there and spot like where these games come up short because From is so good at it, but I still think most people are understandable. And that's Phantom Blade Zero. That's right. All right, next up is Sword of the Sea, another one that definitely stood out to me. This is the sword surfing game where you surf on a sword, and it looks a lot like Journey. It is from the designer of Journey as well as Abzu, that underwater exploration Journey kind of game, and a handful of other ones. It looks a lot like that, and hey, I think that's not a bad idea to make some of these. And I'm always glad that games like these show up in a showcase, right?
Yes, yeah. I'm glad that games like this, Grubb, exactly, get like their little time to shine in front of such a large audience that otherwise may completely miss it. This is probably one of the ones that stuck with me afterwards when I was thinking about the showcase.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was pretty sick. And then it made me think, like, I would love to surf on a sword in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. Hey, I surf on my shield all the time, so I'm having a pretty good time in that game.
This looks so great. This looks so cool.
Yes, it really does. I mean, talk about it was a good like positioning of these trailers where the last one was so desaturated and this one it has all the colors and uses them really well. Like it's like that sunset there and the dolphins flying through the sky. This game looks fantastic. Give it to me. And any game that has waters that looks like that, I'm gonna be down for. So cool waves. I like the cool wave genre. Jan, you know this about me.
Oh yeah.
Talos Principle 2. I didn't play Talos Principle 1. I understand it's like one of those first-person puzzlers, sort of the spiritual successor to Myst. I know people really like it, and here it popped off here. Are you a Talos Principle boy?
No, but Dan and Backlar seemed very high on the original Talos Principle, so I feel like I should check it out. And this was mildly intriguing, at least. I could go for a puzzler.
Yep. Yeah, Jerf in chat says he's very pumped for this. I'm going to check this out. I think I feel bad now that I missed out on Talos Principle 1. So
when did the first one come out?
It's been a while. This one's coming out in 2023. So this one is coming out this year. So that's and there were a lot of games in this showcase announced for 2023. That doesn't include, Neva, which is another one of these cuter indie games. Neva, should we say Neva or Neva? Never.
Sorry.
Mike Minotti's not going to get that joke, which just makes it even funnier.
He would really like that song, though.
He would, absolutely. Neva is it's got a big wolf that has antlers and a little wolf that is that wolf's child, and then there's a lady, and then, of course, a bird dies and turns into flowers. There's going to be lots of animals dying in this very painterly game, and you're probably going to feel pretty emotional about it. And, Jan, I like emotions, so I like that. How about you?
I do too. I just don't know what kind of game this is.
It's the big dead wolf genre.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Also, it seems like maybe the sword lady is bad at her job because she did not protect the big wolf. Or maybe the big wolf is bad at its job.
Yeah, it was just staying alive and it didn't do that. I joked like, oh, by the end of this game, this wolf's going to be dead. And then, of course, it was dead by the end of the trailer. So they're really setting things up. I think there's a lot of people out there that have a hard time seeing harm done to animals, and putting that like straight up in your trailer, I think, is a bold move. But at least they're being honest about it. Like, hey, this is what this game's going to be about. I don't know. It's tough to watch for me, I think, a lot of times. But you're right. I want to find out what kind of game this is, because we really all we saw was this, what feels like a cinematic setup. And I just don't know what else to expect there. But it's coming out in 2024, so they have plenty of time.
This could be a farming game for all we know.
You know what? I kind of hope it is. Cat Quest, Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know. This seemed like a weird one.
Sure.
I wonder if these Cat Quest games like sell super well on PlayStation Network. Because I'll tell you what, if this showed up in a Keeley, if I saw this at a Game Awards, I would assume this is a studio that paid six figures to have their game show up at the Game Awards. I don't know if that happens at a PlayStation showcase. I don't necessarily think it does. Although I know Sony attaches a dollar value to like show it to placement inside their showcases, but that usually works in as part of our co-marketing deal, we put you in there and that represents a certain value of what we've promised you. I don't think that they then like take those slots to the open market and say, hey, Cat Quest, do you want to pay us money? I just don't know. I mean, they sell slots on the PlayStation blog. I still don't think they're doing that in the showcase. All that said, I'm not like trying to be like, oh, this game doesn't belong here. Maybe it probably does. These Cat Quest games probably do well. It's just that's what it felt like to me when I was watching it. How about you?
Sure. Yeah, it just felt out of place in a different way than the sword surfing game in Neva felt like it belonged in a Sony showcase. Mostly because like, oh, this is heavily stylized. Not saying that Cat Quest is not stylized, but also learning from Marino and chat here that this is the third entry into the Cat Quest series.
Yeah, that sounds right. I know there's been a handful of these, and I think they're out on Switch, and I've seen them pop up a bunch on like when I go to the eShop, to the point where it feels like Nintendo is like raising them up because they probably do sell relatively well. They probably do well. Everyone really likes when I say do. So
do.
Yeah, but give the people what they want is what I always say.
Yeah, this looks good. I'm probably not going to check it out, but I'm glad that this has an audience.
I think that I bought one of these Cat Quest games on eShop with like my gold coins that I get from buying other games, and it was like on sale for $2, and I probably played it for an hour, and now I don't remember anything about it.
I think I might have done the same.
Next up is grown-up Splatoon Foam Stars.
Sign me up.
From Square Enix.
Cover me in foam. Cover me in the sweet caulk.
Have you ever been to a foam party, like at a club where they drop foam down on you?
No, and I am now realizing why haven't I?
Yeah, I feel like I've missed out on things in life because I have been to a foam party, and I think this game's going to have to try to fill in that gap in my life with foam and caulk. I am... Sure, why not? Why? I mean, listen, Splatoon. I was looking at the sales for Zelda the other day because I was doing the news for the show, and it was like, oh man, Zelda is already at this point on like one of the best-selling games in Japan for all these lists. And then it's like, well, here's some games that like did a little bit better during the same time, and it's a bunch of games that did a little bit better. And then at the top is Splatoon that did way better than anything else, except for maybe the most recent Pokemon. Like Splatoon is just huge, especially in Japan, but it's huge everywhere. So I guess if you're Square Enix, you go, we got to get some of that Splatoon money. And yet, I think that's probably a bad idea.
Grubb, do you think Square was feeling FOMO?
Yes, I do.
All right.
I'm glad you were here for that. Thank you for your help. Yeah, I'll try this. This is like all these multiplayer games, right? You don't know if you're going to click with a multiplayer game long term, like a Splatoon, until you play it. Like no one really knew if they were into Splatoon until they played it. That's been the bulk, not the bulk, but there's a lot of, at least the bulk of Sony's offerings here. And this is a Square Enix game, so kind of talking to my ass a little bit, but it feels like that, a lot of this showcase is multiplayer games that maybe you and your friends will get into, but you're gonna have to play it for yourself to find out. Is just this trailer going to be enough to get you excited? I don't know. For most people, it seemed like definitely not.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the Splatoon has a giant audience that I always forget about, so maybe the foamies will take some of that audience. I guess also folks that don't have a Switch, I guess.
I'll tell you what, I'm a real FOMO sexual though, so I'm down.
Homo sapiens.
Yep. Pluggy Squire. We've seen this before. I love to see it every time. I don't care. Show it to me 100 more times, because I think this is one of the most stunning things that has shown up at any showcase in the way it works. It is so for audio listeners, this is if you might remember this from seeing it at other showcases. I want to say it was a Nintendo Direct, but maybe not. It's definitely coming to other devices. It is a storybook character walking through the pages of a storybook, and then he walks to the edge, jumps off, and then walks around the room in which that storybook is laying down. And now he is a little character in a big world, which we love here on Giant Bomb. So
yeah,
and it looks amazing. And he's seamlessly jumping between those two universes, right? It goes from being in the room to then jumping onto a poster and walking around the corner. I love everything that this game is doing and kind of cannot wait to play. This is one of my most anticipated games from this showcase.
Nice. Yeah, this has so much charm oozing out of it. And I have a feeling that we haven't seen all of the tricks that the game is going to
Yeah.
do just yet. Like I have a feeling they're holding a couple different art styles close to their chest, outside of the storybook and outside of the real life aesthetic that they got going on.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of game where when you're making this, you're like, we get to the point where should we do that as well? I think they probably end up saying yes. This is one that is coming out. It's 2023, so we're going to find out soon enough. Teardown is coming to console. I guess that's pretty exciting. It makes sense. I was watching some other people react. No one else knows what Teardown is. It makes me frustrated. Teardown's so good. It's time everyone finds out. So I guess this is its big coming out party. Do you think this game's going to match well with the console audience? Do you think they'll be able to come in and sort of have fun with its playground gameplay stylings?
I was worried at first that the console community checking this game out would miss out because of the lack of mod support,
Yes.
I'm assuming. But then I think about how folks are tearing apart Tears of the Kingdom, and I feel like that same exploration and exploitation of the mechanics can apply to Teardown for folks like that are only on consoles.
Yeah, and the good news is that a PS5, an Xbox Series X, and even an S, they all have really good modern CPUs that are going to be able to handle a lot of these physics simulations, and the studio can optimize for those devices. So I'm not worried about performance, which has been an issue on PC, because again, on PC we install mods and we just crank everything up to max, and we're like, all right, now let's see what the simulation looks like. They'll be able to optimize it on console, and I think it's going to run just fine. So looking forward to seeing that. Looking forward to like what the finalized version of this game, which has been in early access, actually ends up looking like.
Yeah, I want it to come out in a box that breaks.
That's even better. It's a really good idea. That's how you open it. Just like get a hammer and crack open the Legos. And then one of the big games of the showcase, Metal Gear Solid Delta is how they're referring to it. Metal Gear Solid Delta : Snake Eater. This is a big long trailer with a bunch of insects and then a bigger thing comes along and eats that, and a bigger thing comes along and eats that, and eventually we get to the biggest thing of all, Big Boss. That's who is in this game. Big Boss is actually who you play as in this game. And yeah, I'm glad they announced it. This is coming out everywhere. It is. I don't think they gave a date. No release date. I don't know. I'll say that it was this. It's exciting because hey, it's here. They're actually doing something. Metal Gear Solid. Konami's back. This is definitely not a Kojima trailer, right?
No, a Kojima trailer would have been drastically different than this. I can't explain what it is, but watching this, it doesn't scream Snake Eater immediately, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. We'll just show Snake.
Yeah,
it makes me a little worried if Konami's going to fumble the bag here, because I really like Snake Eater.
Yep.
But I want to trust the process. I want to trust the process.
Right. Again, it's one of those things where it's impossible to take much away from this. We do here now see what Snake looks like. The chat's telling me it's naked Snake. I've never actually played Metal Gear Solid 3, so this will be a chance for me to I played a little bit on 3DS. I'll get a chance to actually go in there and see what it's really like. But we need to go hands on. Can we really trust Konami and the studios it's working with to deliver on a modern remake of any Metal Gear Solid, let alone 3, one that people really hold in high regard? We have to wait and see. We cannot tell anything from this trailer, and it seems like we're going to be waiting for a little bit. In the meantime, though, I don't have the trailer here because I think it was just mentioned in a quick post. Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1 with 1, 2, and 3 is coming out, and that's coming out everywhere. They confirmed that as well. That's good. Those games have been delisted, and we were kind of waiting to see when they were ever going to come back. Konami's like, yeah, they'll come back. Obviously, they were waiting for this big marketing beat, and that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad that they're returning. Volume 1 is also encouraging, right? Because that probably means that 4 comes out at some point, which was always the big question mark.
Well, I wonder if they're going to include Matt Rory's favorite Metal Gear games, Metal Gear Acid, into some type of collection.
Right, they should do that, right? I mean, this is a Konami. They put out a lot of these, like Castlevania Advance collection and stuff like that, where they gathered up all the games into one and they've had a lot of success with that. So why not put the acids on there?
Have we? It didn't say who was developing or handling development.
No, but we do know it's Virtuos, which is a Korean studio.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what else they've done. Here is some screenshots from the game.
Okay.
Yeah, this got this. I think this was in the press release. So yeah, that looks good. That looks pretty
Snake
good.
is in all of these screenshots. You just can't see him.
Exactly. That's just this camo. It's that good. All right. Tower of Agasba. Man, I don't know how to say that. I just said aghast yesterday because I give up. Say it again.
Towers of Ahegao?
Yeah, Towers of Ahegao. I think that's right. That's exactly right. Type that in chat. Oh, I don't think that gets you banned anymore, actually.
No.
I don't know.
I don't remember this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay, this is the one that had the Zelda stuff where you can like kite around and a bunch of weird looking creatures, and there was underwater. This actually looked good. The name is just so bad that I struggle to remember it. But yeah, it's got the float. Okay, so yeah, you got the glider,
right,
and you can fly on the big creature here, and then there's some stuff to collect. It looks a lot like Zelda.
I remember. I don't remember this now. It's because everyone started talking about Dark Cloud in the chat.
Yes,
I was very confused.
The chat was on Dark Cloud watch for us, and they thought for a second maybe this is it.
Grubb, you missed it. I hope that streamer was okay, but we wound up raiding someone that was playing Dark Cloud, and they were a dragon VTuber, and they seemed like a very nice person.
Oh hell yeah, that sounds like a very good time. I need to go back and find that because I would love to see that amalgamation, those two crews coming together. That game was coming out in well, actually I don't think it has a release date, but we'll have to see. I am excited for any game that is taking cues like that from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
It definitely looked like it was.
Right?
Yep.
And that's heavily inspired by Breath of the Wild. Let's have more.
Yep. More Final Fantasy 16. This game's out in literally less than a month. It continues to look, I think it continues to look pretty great. It looks expensive, is what I really took away from this trailer. Like, they're spending a lot of money on it, which I think actually is the marquee feature of a Final Fantasy game, and that they're succeeding at that. I don't know, where are you at with Final Fantasy 16?
I've been holding this close to my chest, Grubb.
Oh, here we go.
This looks boring as shit to me.
What is it?
I am so bored any and every time I see a Final Fantasy 16 trailer. And it's just like, all right, cool, we get it. Old metal swords, the guy's angry, he's upset.
Do you need tiles?
It's not even the lack of tiles or like the lack of zippers. I think it's just like I'm ready to be wrong. I'm very, very ready to be wrong.
I know exactly what you mean, yes.
And for the story to grip me in such a way, but like the way that these trailers are cut is just like, oh my fucking God, get over yourself. Like, cut a concise trailer. If you're trying to tell a very gripping story akin to a Game of Thrones, just have a little less of these summons highlights already. Less talking, less people yelling Clive. Also, Clive?
I want more people yelling Clive personally, but I get what you're saying otherwise. The one thing I did hear from some of the previews of it is that the icon battles are all pretty similar. And I'm like, oh no, that's a bad recipe for me personally, where it's like, we're going to cut to these big things. And it's like, look at all this awesome stuff happening. I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing the same thing. Maybe that's just, it was similar in the previous period, but they played for 6 hours. I don't know. Still looks expensive. And I think that's going to do it for a lot of people. And I know what you mean. Ready to be wrong. Let's go ahead and get our hands on the controller and figure it out, which won't be very long now at all.
I don't know. Like, I feel like I like the cheesiness of post 7 Final Fantasies, where it's like, okay, there's like some levity and there's some light to it. And I know that like Final Fantasy 7 and like 13s are like, can get kind of dark-ish or up its own butt, but like, it's fun after a while. Lightning has like a weird motorcycle sword.
Yeah, they specifically said about this game that like it's a revenge story. Wouldn't make sense. Like Marino chats like, hey, do they have a card game? And like, Yoshi was like, hey, it'd be weird to have a card game because you're in a revenge story and you're going to stop and have a little fun little game, side game on the side. It's like, oh, okay, that's what you're making. So it is. I feel like it has completely. The last mainline game, 15, was the let's get in a car and have fantasy entourage bro time. And I think this was it's a reaction to that. It's a reaction to the popularity of Game of Thrones, and all that stuff is not going to guarantee that it's going to be like some sort of snooze fest. But I think it's definitely like clearly afraid of being associated with the more whimsical side of Final Fantasy because they think that this is going to be what's better right now. They almost certainly will return to whimsical Final Fantasy in the future. Like, no, we're doing something different for this one. We'll see. I think I'm mostly with you, but I know that I'm not the Final Fantasy audience, so I'm hesitant to speak out as well.
I think the last thing I'll say is like I watched this trailer and previous trailers, and I just don't remember anything afterwards. Like Final Fantasy 15, I remember a bunch of dudes in a car. 7, that's a blonde dude with a big ass sword. 9, that kid has a tail. Is he Goku? And then like 8, which might be my favorite one. It was just like, yo, that sword has a gun on it. This one is just like, okay, cool. I summoned the big thing. I'm fighting the other big thing. Everyone's angry. My hand is glowing.
We're gonna find out for ourselves very soon.
Imagine if this guy I had a giant key as a sword.
Yeah, come on, get real. Grow up, Square Enix.
Come on.
I'm excited. I'm excited to actually play it and see what's going on in there. Maybe it's way sillier than we're feeling.
Hopefully. Hey,
yeah.
If he slips on a banana peel, I'm all in. Vanilla, great.
Alan Wake 2 due out October 17th, 2023. He looks a lot like John Wick. That's kind of cool. It looks much more like a survival horror game than the originals. So that's neat as well, because I think that's what I always expected these games to be. And that's also a good move because that's a very hopping genre right now. I think a lot of people in October are going to be ready for it. So if you're going to deliver a solid one of those, this seems like it's going to be on the precipice of being a big jump forward for Alan Wake. How this look to you?
This looks great. I always meant to check out the original Alan Wake, but I was a little too scared being in elementary school or however old I was. But I am ready to get down with this. I wonder if we have rechargeable batteries or we're just going to be hot swapping regular bats in.
Yeah. And people are saying that's not Alan Wake. Okay. I don't know. I can't keep track of these Allens and Sam Wakes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think I see what people are saying, but either way, I think it looks good. It looks like they're putting a lot of time into this. And if they can hit the beats that they're going for, I think a lot of people are going to be very into it.
I'm also seeing more of a Jared Leto.
I see what you mean. That some of those shots definitely has like Jared Leto doing one of his I'm gonna let myself go roles a little bit.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Morbin time?
It might be Morbin time. Finally, it's Morbin time. Another. Yeah, it's a Sony property. Maybe this is a crossover. So.
Oh yes, please.
Assassin's Creed Mirage. This is coming out October 12th. October is getting filled up pretty fast. This is looking a lot like an Assassin's Creed 2 or Brotherhood, and I think I'm ready for that. I don't know if anyone else is.
I am with you, Grubb.
Okay.
I'm ready to dump back into bales of hay and like hold a button to sprint off of buildings. But I don't know how long that's gonna hold me for. You know,
sure.
Like the original WoW of like, oh, this feels just like Assassin's Creed 2 or 3. But then like how long until I want something different? And will this even appeal to the folks that really jumped onto Assassin's Creed like during Valkyrie?
Right. It's there's those last 3 big RPG games, for as much as like OG Assassin's Creed fans were like, oh, these are different, I'm not sure if I like that. They kept getting bigger and bigger in a lot of cases. But I think there's room for them to do kind of a one for me, one for you thing where they jump back and forth between those two styles going forward. And maybe those RPG ones live in Assassin's Creed Infinity or whatever it's called, where like, oh yeah, that's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and have all these modules that are actually giant RPGs. And they can, in between that, they could do these one-offs that are smaller and were actually, this one was intended to be DLC originally. So I keep that in mind. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea for keeping Assassin's Creed coming out and feeling different every once in a while. And obviously, it's going to feel different by going back to what it originally was. I think that's fine. This could be cool. Revenant Hill. This is not what's the cat game that this is obviously sort of the spiritual successor to
Night. Oh
yeah, Night in the Woods. This is not Night in the Woods 2, but it does look a lot like Night in the Woods 2. And they play an accordion, so I think we're in France. It definitely has those vibes. He's also wearing like a little handkerchief around his neck. So I don't know. It just has European vibes to it.
Law.
What's that?
It's the law.
Yeah, that's how it works. Those are the rules. They kind of set up the setting in this trailer. Not much else, but I think that's a good thing for one of these games where it is conversation driven. And so you kind of want to know more about the setting than like, I get the gameplay. Show me what I'm going to be experiencing, and that's what they showed in this trailer. It looks very cute. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. What's better than a Link in Tears of the Kingdom? What if he was a relink? I don't think that's going to be how it's going to work. Grand Blue Fantasy is a franchise that's been running for a while now. It's very popular. I don't care about it at all. What do I do here, Jan?
We can just skip to whatever the next game is.
Yeah, I think so. Street Fighter 6 is the next one. This one's out pretty soon. They showed a little bit more from like the story mode and stuff like that. Ultros is one that definitely stood out. This is an indie game with it looks like a Grateful Dead poster.
Yes. It looks like the back section of a Spencer's Gifts.
Yes, absolutely. One of those fuzzy dark light posters.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I love that. And I think it's cool that a video game looks that way, and I'm ready for it. It looks like it might be a Metroidvania, but it's coming out in 2024, so we'll see more soon. Dragon's Dogma 2. This is another standout one for me, Jan. I thought this looked really good. They seemed to show what looked like, at least, gameplay. This looks like gameplay. There's no UI and stuff like that, but that's gameplay. I guess there's a little bit of UI there, and it looks very cool.
I'm so happy for you and Austin Walker and other folks that like to get Dragon Dog down.
Yeah, I like the dog down, and got that dogma in me, and I'm ready for that Dragon's Dogma 2. No release date, but we're probably going to see. I mean, the fact that they're showing this this gameplay, they're probably going to set up a chance to do a dedicated stream for this, because that's something Capcom would do these days. So we'll probably get some more info later this year. Boy, yeah, that looks freaking cool. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2. Yeah, that's happening. Resident Evil 4 VR mode. This is our VR section here, so we can do a VR count, everybody. Resident Evil 4 VR mode. That is Resident Evil 4 in VR. Like they just showed a bunch of Resident Evil 4 environments, and then they said, "Oh yes, and now you're in VR." So hey, sounds cool. We've had Resident Evil 4 in VR before. This is the remake, though. It's going to have all the pretty extras on top. Arizona Sunshine 2. I know people I guess I say I know Arizona Sunshine was like a big VR game. I just never thought it would like produce a sequel, because it's like, it's one of those shooter zombie games, and there's a million of those. But I guess this is the one that's going to stand out and get a sequel and a place in the PlayStation showcase. I don't. This is where I was like, oh, this is where we're at with VR games for PSVR 2. I don't know if this thing's going to be for me.
Yeah, even just based off of the tone of the trailer, I know that it's not for me. And I think we all thought this was originally going to be a Walking Dead game, which we were all not enthused by that prospect either. Oh God, what was that?
Oh, here. Are we in trouble? This is when we're supposed to be doing the thing. So Tam's here to do our. Hey, Tam, Gollum doesn't come out for another hour. Give me a code, and then we'll do that. We're gonna finish Game S Mornings, and then we'll get started.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye. Actually, go back to bed. You can sleep for a little bit longer. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Like this whole VR section, it was fine. I mean, Resident Evil 4 is gonna probably be great. It's just. Again, I think I worked up that like, all right, here's where we drop in Astros, here's where we drop Half-Life Alyx, and no dice.
Yeah, I What we did get instead was Crossfire Sierra Squad, and it's like, this is, I mean, listen, that Crossfire brand is still very popular in China. It's been kind of tainted here after Crossfire, the Xbox one launched the single player thing from Remedy. That's going to be what you're going to go with one of your VR games. I mean, fine, yeah. It looks like it could be fun. I'm not going to play it because, again, it's just another one of these shooters in VR, and yeah, I'm good. I'm go ahead.
Tired of shooters in VR. There's so many other things we could be doing, yo.
Yes, and if you are going to be doing a shooter, you could do it like Synapse one that did look pretty cool. This is like looks like an evolution of Super Hot. It's very stylized. Listen, I don't hate the idea of holding like a weapon that I'm going to be using in VR. That's a good way of interacting with stuff in VR. But I need more than just either zombies or soldiers, and I think that Synapse is going to deliver that. Still probably not enough to get me to purchase a $550 headset. I was waiting for the Alexes and everything else to kind of make that make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then Beat Saber got, its Queen music pack, something that, like, yeah, I guess you have to show that's the biggest VR game. You have to show that, but it's not, again, not a big reason for me to show up for a VR 2.
Yeah.
So that was the VR section. How do you feel about that?
Less than whelmed.
Yeah, I think it's
very disappointed. I feel like this was probably the moment for Sony to like, hey, we're taking this seriously. But after just like those 4.5 games, it's disappointing.
Yeah, 4.5 games. That's right. And I put that over under that Vegas line at 3.5. They beat that. I think in Spirit, they kind of still came up a bit. In Spirit, they came up exactly where I was expecting if they were going to have a bad showcase for the PSVR. And yeah, I think that's where we're at. Less than whelmed. Marathon, the new Bungie game. This is, it doesn't have a date. They're going to show more soon, I believe. I don't think it has a date. Oh, no, so they're making it in 2023. Excuse me. This is not going to be some big single-player story campaign thing from Bungie. It is another online multiplayer one. They said it's going to have like player-driven storytelling and things like that. But it looks stylish as hell. I think it looks very cool. And an extraction shooter from Bungie, which apparently is the genre it's going for, which means a Tarkov-like. I'm willing to see what that looks like. I think Bungie could make a very good one of those.
Yeah, this looked great. And I know we were criticizing the first game in this showcase about having that glitchy effect and just overusing it. This uses it in such a different way because they got like liquids and stuff.
Yeah, it's goopy.
I'm excited for this.
Me too. Not pastels, but like the primary colors and the hot pinks. Yeah, I love that.
Music in this trailer was also particularly striking.
Yeah, I mean, I think art design, Bungie is just better than most other studios at that, and that comes through here as well. Then they had a little update on Destiny 2, The Final Shape, which is going to get its own showcase later this year. Bungie, though, showing up in the PlayStation Showcase, even though both those games are going to be headed elsewhere. We'll talk about that here in a second. Concord.
Destiny pervs.
Yeah, Destiny pervs are going to be eating. They're going to be feasting. Let's see. Concord. This is one where just like they basically just gave us branding. This is another. I think this is the Firewalk game, right? Let's see. It's a PlayStation Studios game, one of their first-party games, Firewalk. And then, it reminds me a lot of that Contraband trailer from the Xbox showcase a year ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago now. They set up the world, and I don't know. I just don't know why this is all we see from this game. Although the style that they did provide does look cool, and I really like the look of this logo.
Yeah, that burger was really good. I think I'm tired of CG trailers. I don't know about like the general gaming audience. They're the bigger gaming audience, but like these CG trailers aren't cutting it for me, Grubb.
Yeah, I think before the showcase, I was of the opinion, like, if it's the first time you're showing something off, it's okay. But I think that's with the caveat that, well, of course they're going to have all of these gameplay things from things we kind of know are coming. Like, they're going to have a big thing for factions, and we're going to hear about what's happened with all these other studios that have established, like credits of games that they put out that even if they show CG trailers, well, we know they're going to deliver. This is Firewalk. Yeah. This is Haven. These are unproven properties. And so it's a little bit harder to swallow the CG pill when that's all we're kind of getting in this showcase. we say that we're gonna get to gameplay here in a second, and now that I'm gonna have issues with that as well. So we'll get there.
Right.
But they also had some hardware, the PlayStation Project Q, which is basically just a dual sense broken in half with a tablet stuck between it. It looks dumb as hell. I'm gonna buy one.
I am right behind you in line, Grubb. I was playing my Switch last night for way too long, gluing stuff together, thinking like, oh, I'd like to play more PS5 games like this.
Yeah, I know people use their phone for remote play a lot, but I like the idea of a dedicated device with the controls matched exactly right, and something that might have a better connection than just trying to do it through my phone, which is going to have a kind of a shoddy Android app.
Yeah, I've never had like a good experience doing the remote play on my phone. I don't know, maybe I'm doing something different, or maybe like my network environment's a little too busy. Like I have I have fiber at home, so I don't know what the dealio is.
Yeah. I think there's probably something in the protocol of like that. It's actually just not a very good remote play protocol, and that's causing issues. And does that mean that this thing is doomed, or do they improve it because they have this device? I hope it runs even. I hope this is like a flawless experience, because this is, how you said, one of the ways I want to be playing my games a lot of the times. I had Star Wars Jedi Survivor on PS5, and I was playing on the TV. That was coming down here, but I would have played it a lot more quickly had I had a device like that. And I tried to set my Steam Deck up to do that, and setting up remote play on the Steam Deck, I ran into a thing where it's like, no, here's an error, and there's no real answer to how to fix this error. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to have it up and running. That just kind of stinks. So, yeah. They closed out the show with, there was also earbuds. You can get your PlayStation branded earbuds. Have fun with that. Spider-Man 2 closed out the show, a game that is coming out later this year. It is doesn't still have a release date exactly, so probably later in the year than some of these other things that did get dates. This gameplay trailer was about 10 minutes. It showed off a big cinematic sequence of a fight where Peter Parker and Miles Morales are chasing down Lizard and interacting with other enemies. I don't know. I think I start off being like, hey, it's Spider-Man. This is awesome. Glad we're seeing a lot of this. And by the end, it had really dragged, and I'm like, I'm not sure if this was a great showcase for Spider-Man 2. A game that I know I'm going to like, but if we're just kind of talking about, hey, this was a showcase and I want to be entertained by your commercials, by the end, I was ready for this to be over, and kind of was like a little bit frustrated that I was not thrilled when I was watching it. How did you feel?
The section they showed off looks absolutely amazing. Peter Parker has never looked more wet ever.
Sloppy black suit. It's great.
And like the Venom powers, it looks really great. I think, again, I don't know why they felt like they needed to pad for time, because this is their showcase after all. They decide everything that's going on here. It just felt, it didn't, you're right, it didn't feel like a good showing, because I eventually wound up being bored.
Yeah.
Afterwards. This is something that could have been fixed with like editing, right? Like, okay, cool, let's cut to the Miles sequence sooner, and then instead of having that long intro introducing Kraven, let's just have Kraven be like the surprise stinger at the end.
Yeah, and it's like that this opening sequence with the Venom suit, it's working. That does work for me. And then it's kind of just like, oh, it just kind of keeps going. And you're right. I think some editing would have helped. Now, they have had success with this exact style before. I think starting back with like God of War in 2015 or 2016, one of those years, where they're like, hey, we're just going to show a whole sequence. And that really got people going. But that was showing so many things that we did not know we were going to see from a God of War game. And we didn't know we were going to see a God of War game. This is one of those Spider-Man games again. It's one of those. Yeah. It's exactly one of those. And I want more of that. I do want to play more of that. But we're talking about showing it as the last thing in your showcase. And yeah, there's he's using his wings so he can actually like zoom through a wind tunnel type feature in the world. Cool. I don't know. It just wasn't the best showing for this game. A game that, again, I know I'm going to love. I love Spider-Man and Miles Morales more than just about any other PlayStation exclusive. So I'm down for this. But I kind of, once again, kind of just need to play it rather than see it in this environment.
Yeah, I don't know. Sony also is putting together Into the Spider-Verse and those have always been really dynamic trailers that wind up showing off a lot. You apply that, and I know completely different studios. I 100% get that, but could have applied that same ethos over there.
Yes,
and
definitely.
cut like a tighter trailer.
All right. Speaking of cutting a tighter timing on a show, let's go ahead and get to these other stories that are mostly related to this. Microsoft points out that many of the PlayStation Showcase games are coming to Xbox. It tweeted an image that showed about 12 of the 30 games that PlayStation announced are indeed also coming to Xbox. Many of the big ones, but here's the whole list: Immortals of Avium, Avian is how I'm going to just say it. Ghost Runner 2, Marathon, Metal Gear Solid Delta, Dragon's Dogma 2, Alan Wake 2, The Plucky Squire, Teardown, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Neva, Cat Quest, and the Talos Principle 2. That Metal Gear Solid collection is also coming to Xbox, though. Do you think that this... I think this is a big reason one of the showcase was underwhelming, is because so many exclusive... or some of those games weren't exclusives.
Yeah. I mean, what it wasn't exclusive? It's going to be Spider-Man. God, I'm having a hard time thinking what else would be an exclusive.
Yeah, it's the Firewalk game and the Haven game, so was Fair Games and...
Foam Stars?
Concord. I think Foam Stars might be. That's a Square Enix game, but though, and it's that I think they probably want it to be everywhere, but it's probably maybe it's not coming to Xbox. It's a Square Enix game, so that seems possible. But yeah, like we needed to see what was happening with Firewalk and Fire Sprite and Haven and stuff like that. I just thought we were gonna get. And here's the next story. Meanwhile, fans are wondering where a lot of the big PlayStation first-party studios were. I just kind of put this list together myself right before the show. I think this is right. Here's the studios I don't think we had anything from: Sucker Punch, Naughty Dog, Housemarque, Blue Point, Ben Studio, London Studio, Nixies, I don't know how to say that, San Diego Studio, Guerrilla Games, Media Molecule, and Team Asobi. A lot of those games, San Diego Studio wasn't really expecting anything. Sucker Punch wasn't really expecting anything. Not really. But Naughty Dog not showing Factions. Blue Point still not showing their next big, the thing that they've been working on for, they had Demon's Souls 2-3 years ago, but the implication was always that at the time they were also working on something else. We could at least see it now if it's coming out in the next 2-3 years. Is it? Team Asobi, where is something from Team Asobi? Astro's Playroom launched with the PS5. What have you been working on since? Talk about it now. This is the showcase. I don't know. That's a lot of studios to not show up at the showcase.
Yeah, it seems especially weird because, The Last of Us, the TV show blew up. Like, it took over the cultural zeitgeist for a hot couple months. And to see nothing from PlayStation to try and capitalize off of that hype just seems so weird.
Yes.
Unless that game is in a really bad spot. I don't know, maybe Wet Joel really hampered up things. I wonder how many of these studios that they've acquired, like Housemarque, if they've been shifted over to become more support studios for these live service games that PlayStation is so insistent on focusing on.
Or is there a chance that they are taking their time because maybe they need to also be thinking about live service games because that's where the budget is coming down, right? There are the Golden Boy Studios, right? We know that the San Diego team that worked on God of War is going to keep doing that. We know Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch, like Ghost of Tsushima, huge success. So Sucker Punch is going to keep making those, and Naughty Dog is in its own place. They can do whatever they want. But a lot of these other studios, Ben Studio, do you think they're going to get to make what they want, or should they be trying to pitch things that are most likely to get the green light, which are going to be live service games? And is that putting a lot of these studios in a weird position where it's like, we've been doing one thing for a long time, but you kind of want us to do something else? Maybe we're speculating. I don't know. But coming out of that showcase, it's maybe hard not to feel that way.
Doesn't it just seem more volatile to try and launch a live service game, like a new live service game, especially within your own company?
Yeah, but it's like the like they're going for the big risk, big reward. And yeah, these games are still expensive. They're maybe not as expensive to make as a God of War for sure, or Last of Us Part 2. Those are games that cost $200 million, something like that. Fair Games is not going to cost that much. Concord's not going to cost that much. But they're still going to be expensive to make. But if they hit, the hope is instead of making $500 million, they make billions of dollars and kind of make billions of dollars regularly for years to come. And if one of them actually succeeds at accomplishing that, it justifies the whole endeavor, I think is how they look at it.
Sure.
Alan Wake 2 is going to be digital only. Remedy says a larger number have shifted to digital, and this helps them keep the price of the game at $60 and the PC version at $50. A lot of fans disappointed about this. They want a physical version. THQ Nordic actually stepped up and said in a tweet right to Remedy, I mean, we did the disc version of Alan Wake for PC back in the day, in case you missed it. And just because one person or company does not love physical, there's plenty who still do. Give it some thought. We'd love to go at it again, full circle and all. So THQ Nordic say, hey, we'll come in, we'll print the discs for you and distribute it. That would be pretty nice. There are still publishers out there that can make that financially feasible. But you could tell Remedy, it would never work for Remedy, right? That makes sense for them to just do digital only.
Yeah, I feel bad for the folks that demand physical games, but I'm not part of that camp anymore at all.
Yeah. I'm also not there. I did buy a physical game this year, Metroid Prime Remaster. I wanted that, but other than that, I'm good. Will Smith's video game debut reminds us I Am Legend would have made a great game. This comes from Austin Goslin at Polygon. No one is quite as helpful for getting through a post-apocalypse as Will Smith, and that's great news for survivors in the upcoming survival game Undawn. Developers Lightspeed Studios and Level Infinite released a new trailer for the game on Wednesday that announced its latest character, Trey Jones, who will be played by Will Smith. Is this Will Smith entering his Nick Cage era where after the slap, maybe like respectable people don't want to work with him? I want to work with him, but respectable people don't want to work with him. And so he's like, I'll take a paycheck. I'll go be in a video game that just looks like a movie I did before.
Perhaps it pains me, Grubb, because another thing I've been keeping close to my chest, I think Will Smith is one of my favorite actors.
Hell yeah, let's fucking go. I still like him. I get like, so walking on stage and slapping someone is the kind of thing a rich person that's problematic does. But he slapped another rich person, so in my book, I think it's okay. It's a wash. I'm fine with it. I don't know. This game does just look like I Am Legend, though. Like,
God, an I Am Legend game would have been fantastic.
That's absolutely right. This is a weird one. So this game, Undawn, you look at it, it looks like a big expensive game. They're getting Will Smith. It is due out June 15th for Windows, Android, and iOS, and that's it. So this is a mobile game. So, all right. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Look at the last 5 seconds in this trailer. Tell me that isn't just I Am Legend.
It's 100% I Am Legend. They know what they're going for. I need to actually see gameplay of this though. And I need to see what Will Smith looks like as the player character, not just as the this CG character. All right, let's see. Last story here. Ubisoft reboots its troubled Prince of Persia remake. This comes from Michael McWhorter at Polygon. Ubisoft's remake of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, originally planned for release in 2021, but delayed multiple times, has been effectively rebooted with Ubisoft Montreal taking over development from Ubisoft Pune. The Sands of Time remake is now currently in the conception phase, according to a new developer Q&A and FAQ posted by Ubisoft on Wednesday. On Twitter, the official Prince of Persia account noted that the Sands of Time remake won't be at June's Ubisoft Direct or Ubisoft Forward showcase, but, quote, fear not, it's very much alive. It's just, again, in an early stage of development. I think the question is, do we get this or that Knights of the Old Republic remake first? I still think we get Prince of Persia first, personally, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, Prince of Persia first. I was pretty excited for when they announced that reboot because I really liked the whole trilogy.
Yeah, I love Sands of Time. I love it.
Yeah, I am an odd mark for Warrior Within. Mostly
I should play those games. I should play the sequels. I never really played them. That would be cool.
God. I stand alone. Sorry. Godsmack.
It's beautiful. Of course you got to sing some Godsmack when we start talking about Prince of Persia. All right. I got the polls, which are poking off the side of the screen. I'll fix that right now.
Hold on. Alex, you hurt me inside. Never playing any of those Prince of Persia games, but you watched the movie?
Oh, no. Don't do that.
Friend, please.
This is our poll from yesterday. Do you have a hacked 3DS? 74% say no. 26% say yes. That just says we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of people to get over to the good side over here.
You know what that says? You know what that says, Grubb? some of our audience liars.
I think so. You can see where I have to vote to see the results. You can see that I voted yes here, in case you were wondering. All right, I'm gonna have a new poll. I'm gonna put it up. Well, actually, Jam, why have you put it up on YouTube? Rank the PlayStation Showcase: A, B, C, D, or F. That's simple. We'll talk about it on Friday's show. Excuse me. In the meantime, what do we have happening on Giant Bomb? We are going to try to figure out Gollum. Timing got messed up because the game is coming out today, and I went on Steam, and it wasn't available. And I'm like, what? I mean, it says it's coming out like May 25th. It's May 25th. Like, any game that says it's coming out that day, usually it's out by midday Eastern time in the United States. Yeah. No, it says, okay, it's gonna be 3 more hours, and that was about 2.5 hours ago. So we'll see. We do have some review codes floating around somewhere. If I have to track down one of those, maybe we'll do that. But we're gonna play this. It might be a different crew than we originally thought, but we'll see what's gonna happen. I'll play some Gollum on giantbomb.com. I've decided I'm going to be a Gollum defender, Jan. I'm going there. I'm going to protect my boy.
Again, another hot take from me. I actually enjoy the Hobbit movies.
Oh, there we are. Okay, get in there. Help me out there.
No one tell Lucy. Please.
Okay, okay, everyone gets so mad about how I pronounce it. Is it Golem? Like, it's like Gollum. Now, I don't know how to say it. I don't know either. I fucking hate. I hate words. My mouth is so stupid. I hate this stupid mouth.
I'll get ready to defend the Hobbit on another time. All right, but we don't need to talk about it right now.
We'll find a spot to talk about it though, for sure, on giantbomb.com, which is where we'll talk about the results of that poll tomorrow. I should have Tam on the show. Looking forward to that. We'll also be doing a voicemail dump truck later today with a bunch of dads. Look out for that. We'll have Unprofessional Fridays tomorrow, and then we'll be back at it next week. Monday, we're off Monday, right? Is that Memorial Day?
Oh, yes. We are not here on Monday.
So look out for the Bombcast. It's when we'll be back on Tuesday. In the meantime, though, Jan, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games, man. You know I love it.
Yeah, it's my favorite way to start a Thursday.
And everyone, you're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. Okay, let's see.
All right, goodbye, YouTube. Ending you.
Wow.